To the left, you'll see in red, in this case it says 700 RPM. That's the speed the machine is set for. You can use your up arrow to change it, your down arrow to also change it. The LCD monitor part will only show up as you're sewing, so it tells you the speed that you're currently sewing at. Your machine speed will vary depending on the design that you're doing and the type of stitch that it's doing. So don't get nervous if your machine goes faster or it goes slower. It will do that on its own. Occasionally when you're sewing, your machine will have a thread break. And we're going to go over how to fix that thread break at this point. The thread break can either be because the thread at the top broke, there wasn't enough, maybe it came undone on the thread path, or maybe it ran out of bobbin thread. So we still have to fix it. So again, you're just going to take your thread. This is very similar to when you do your thread path. Just put it down through any eyelets that it may have missed. Make sure that you put it behind that thread guide at the top. And it should be behind that thread guide. And then you're just going to thread your needle. Cutting it on a 45-degree angle again to put a point on it. Use your tweezer again to pull it out in front. And then thread down through the presser foot. When you have a thread break, your machine does not normally sense that it's out of thread for anywhere from 8 to 12 stitches. So it's a good idea to back up at least 10 to 15 stitches. To back your machine up, come back over to your control box and you're going to press the stop button. Every time you press the stop button, your machine will back up 1 stitch. So as I press stop, it backs up. And we're going to back up about 10 to 15 stitches. Once you've done that, you're ready to start sewing again. You put down your light. Once you've backed up your machine, you come back over and you press the start button to begin sewing again. There may be times when you'll need to clear a design out while it's already sewing, and that just means stop the sewing and clear it out of the sewing memory. Now that could happen if you create a design and you've misspelled something and you don't realize it until after you've started it. Or sometimes when we ship out machines to you, we've already started to sew a cap on it, and sometimes we don't finish sewing the cap, and when you get the machine, the design is still loaded and it needs to be cleared out. So this is the process for clearing out a design. I'm going to start sewing. I've already loaded my design in and I've already done all my tracing and my colors and everything else. So now I'm going to start my design. And it will start sewing. And I realize that the design that I'm sewing is either not really what I wanted, there's a problem with it, or whatever. So now I'm going to stop the design. The very first thing I want to do is put in a thread cut or a trim. In your Tools menu, F4, once you press that, the very first thing that's in here, and I'll move this so you can see the print, it says Manual Trim. I want to go back to Manual Trim and I'm going to press Set. Now, if you watch what's going to happen down on your embroidery, you'll notice that the trim is going to start. I'm pressing Start. It comes up and it says, do you want to trim? F1 is yes, F2 is no. I'm going to press F1. Your machine actually puts in a lock stitch and then it does a manual trim. Now coming back up to the LCD screen, the next thing we want to do is clear out the design. If we come down to EMB Call, which is your F1 button, and we press that, you're going to get a message that comes up that says, do you want to cancel the data set? Which means, do you want to cancel sewing this design? F1 is yes, F2 is no. We're going to press F1 for yes, and that will clear the design out, and now I can load another design in. Please be aware that until you clear that design out, you will not be able to load another design in, whether it's from a floppy disk, a USB, or from your EMB call, your F1 button.